Shalom, Kadash, how you doing?
Oh, I'm told. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just behind the scenes typing up something and still waiting for people to join. I still have two different times on my phone, on my desktop and also on my iPhone. So, and 7:28 on my laptop and then 7:34 on my iPhone. Which is which?
I have 734.
Okay, good. Maybe I need to reset my um my laptop is slow. It's been doing stuff, so I gotta get it cleaned out. But anyways, just continue to
You can
wait
you can
and
change the time.
okay,
Just
I can.
yeah, click down. Look on your right corner at the bottom, and you see your where you see your time.
Yeah.
Click on that, and then you can adjust your time.
Let me see that one. Let's see. When I click, oh, right click. Okay. Let me do that. Hold on. I think it pushed it up and then the calendar came up, but let me try it again. Um oh, I need to get an update. My computer haven't been updated and it's just acting all doing what it wants to do. Right now it's pulling up this black bar on the side, taskbar settings. When I don't want the taskbar settings, I'm just trying to right click on the time. Um, Let me just see if this go back over. Okay, not sure what it's, okay, I clicked on something. Okay, let me right click on the time. Right click and it goes to, oh, that's what I did when I right click. Oh, adjust date and time. I see that. Okay. Adjust date and time, and then set time automatically. That's already on. And then I set it back on, and it's now 7:36. Oh, just- oh goodness, I don't know why. Okay, let me close this out. Okay, so now 7:36, and I guess we'll still wait for others to join. Let me see. Gotta find out where they are. Go to participants. Okay, okay, nobody's waiting. All right, we'll give it a few minutes, but what I was asking, I know, um, this is like every 2 weeks, and usually I try to get people to speak, but my outreach, usually I outreach on social media, people within the groups, and outsourcing here and there, and trying to get people who can talk about it. So I was reaching out 2 weeks ago here and there. I'm like, okay, are you going to speak or not? We get a yes or no. But that's fine. What we're going to do is just have questions and just have a general discussion. So I'm hoping that the people who said the passcode, there's no passcode. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. Let me go back over here and get somebody some information. Let me go over here. Send this link. Copy. Then push this in here. So when you got the link, did you just click on your link and that's it? Um, Arch Kadash,
Yes,
is that what happened?
yes, that's all I did. I just clicked on the link.
Okay.
But it's for 10 people.
Okay. It's not a passcode. Okay. Let me see. All right. So let me make sure I got other people in here. I hope it's the right link I'm sending everyone. Shalom, Obadiah. How you doing?
I'm good, Shalom. How you doing, Akoti?
All right, good. Okay.
Shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Hello, Miss Tracy. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to have you. Good to have you. So we were just trying to make sure everybody was able to come in. Just yesterday, I was at the car wash. I wasn't yesterday. Um, Today is Tuesday. Must've been yesterday. And this guy was outside. He was out there. He worked there, and I was on the phone with another sister telling her, about uh the call that we had on Sunday when Princess Ada was sending the link in the marriage to singles expo group on WhatsApp, and I was able to join, and it was a very deep discussion, and I was telling Liliana about it, and she was on the phone talking to me, and she was like, well, I was like, yeah, these brothers need to hear this stuff. We need more men on the call because this is brother stuff. We got to make sure they understand. And this young man was out there, and I was like, yeah, let me, you know what, while I'm thinking of it, I see a guy over here working, and he's working hard in the sun. So let me go reach out to him. So I invited the guy to join our call, but he didn't speak much English. He's like from Togo, or what's the country in Africa? Togo or something? Tobo? I don't know. It was Tocgo or something. I don't know what country it was, but he speak from his language is,
Tobago,
what is it called?
Tobago.
Yeah, something like that. And French is his native language, but he said, I don't understand much English. I was like, Don't y'all, don't the Zoom have a translator app, or where people from different countries, if they're trying to understand English, I got the caption on here for me. So I thought they would have a caption or something for them, right?
Well, the caption that you have set for you is what's going to come across the Zoom. So if you have somebody who speaks French and you have your closed caption on, you need to put it in French so that they can read it. So if your closed caption is in English, it's going to read in English no matter who's looking at it.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
good, is it? Well, I didn't think about that, but maybe what could he do? I'm not sure. What I told him to do when I got his contact and he's on WhatsApp as well. I was able to communicate through him through WhatsApp. And I told him, well, if you see the English caption, I don't know if he's hearing it, if he hearing it us speak, he has a caption on his, not a caption on his phone, but he has an app on his phone where it can translate. That
you
would help.
you're really asking for a lot when you do that because it's got to go to the part. It's got to go through the part of being translated, then turned over, and then read back to him. And by the time you get through saying something, you're gonna hit you know went somewhere completely different. He's never gonna be able to keep up that way.
It's oh my goodness. He speak a little English, but I was like, I don't know how to help him. I mean, he was really, I was in my down to earth talking like I usually talk to people, like, oh, you out here working. You work hard for your money out here. You in the heat, brother. You need to, I know your family proud of you, just giving a small talk. I was like, your family proud of you out here making money. You got your family happy, trying to instigate and see if he had a family. So that was my way to try to figure him out. I was like, your wife and kids, they're happy to have you around. You have your how many children you got? He didn't. He's like, I don't, no children, no children. It's just me or something. He was trying to say it was just him. He was speaking in the French, and it was like, okay. I was like, you just yourself. Where your wife? Where your children? Are they over? What country you from? And he's like, no, just me only. I was like, oh, well, great. That's wonderful. I mean, I was just trying to, not like it's wonderful, good, but my
You
way
got
of
to
just approaching, just trying to get him to join.
you got to kind of watch that though.
Yeah.
Because I no, seriously, you got to kind of watch that because Mark, bring me that stuff. Um, because with a lot of them, they'll say they're not married, and they'll be married
Yeah.
all day long. Okay, I've
Hmm.
seen it happen where they say they're not married because the person they married to is not here; they're back home,
There we go.
or they may be or they may be in another location, but they claim not being married, but they would be married all day because you got so many of them who actually get over here on DV visas.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And I've heard of lots of cases like that, and they may
yeah,
be.
they'll tell you they're not married; they be married all day.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay. And then his language went into on his WhatsApp chat. He said something about him being Muslim or something like that. And sometimes that might be a situation. But anyways, I was like, oh, okay, well, you welcome to join and see what happens, but I can't help you. But that's all. I left it at that. If he joins, great. If he don't, I just left it alone. But yeah, there is, people say they're single and then they have a whole tribe over there in another country. Okay, that's what, anyways, that's what I was thinking, when I was like, I was trying to figure out how to use if people come over that have language difficulties, the Zoom doesn't allow that in ways because this is just English on the caption. But anyway, so much for that. We was just small talking for a little while. Now it's 7:46. Um, I guess we start at 7:30. Okay. So it's been like 15 minutes. Yeah. So hey there, Ileana. How you doing? I guess you just came in. I saw you.
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Good. Good to have you. So we're gonna go ahead and begin. I'm gonna check my phone and see if I get any text or any other uh, notifications. A lot of people have um, have been texting me, and some on Facebook, and they may not be able to join. Some are in a different time zones, and I have went online to ask people for their participation, and they helped me out with the survey so far. Some one guy was from the um, Hebrew Israelites singles Facebook group, and I saw a post and I commented on his post that he made and said that was interesting, or where did you get that information? And just small talking behind the scene because I'm looking at whatever that post was. It was something interesting. I had to tap on him and say I need that information, and I said, oh, okay. We start talking about the courtship thing I was doing and how he could be of help for me based on the information that he had provided. So he just texted me just now on Facebook that he has a commitment and he won't be able to join today. But and then another lady helped me out with the face survey, and she's gonna try to join in, and she's on the road driving as well. But if I have a situation, Ileana, I might need your help or Tracy, either one of you all, just to check in the what is it, the lobby waiting room in case I need to do something. I'm gonna ask you all to help me out with getting people in. Can I
I'm
make
dri-
y'all?
I'm driving, so I won't be able to assist.
Okay, you're driving too. Okay.
Yeah.
Ileana, would you be able to help then if I need help with the waiting room to let people in?
I can try, but I'm working.
Okay. Let me see. Hold on one second. Let me figure this out. How to make this you a co-host. Okay. Let me see here. What happened? I gotta put this back up. And where did it go? Okay, here it is. And I'm gonna try to make you a assistant. Okay. Okay, where are you at? Okay, there your name is. Let me get you over here. I think Tammy, you just came in. Thank you for coming in, Tammy. And you're the one that I just text on Facebook. Is that correct, Tammy? See.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Let me see. Great to have you in here. Um, let's see. I'm trying to make Ileana the co-host to help me. Okay, here it is. All right. And then someone else joined in. Leia, is that you, Miss Layla Miller?
Yes, that's me.
All right, great. Great to have you. Thank you for helping me with that survey. I really appreciate you helping me. And Tammy, you helped me with the did you help with the survey too, right?
No, I don't think I did a survey. I'm not sure. Oh,
Well,
yeah, I
I
think I
said,
did last week. I did.
okay, yeah, I sent you one of three surveys. You let's see, you got one. I'm looking at my message now, and you just completed. I think just did one, maybe. I'm gonna have to check it again. We're gonna go over it and put it in the presentation so we can make sure everybody has done that. So thank you
Okay.
for the, yeah, I'll make sure to send that out to you again. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and start for right now. And thank you, Ileana, for helping me with this. Um, I want to go ahead and begin and let me just open it up. Welcome and thank everybody for joining the Courtship to Marriage. And this is just a every 2 weeks kind of thing where we have singles to come in, single men, single women, even married people come in on the call. And the reason for this is to give people information that will be a substantial foundation to help them to understand what courtship to marriage is according to the Most High. So thank you all for being on the call. And would Brother Obadiah or Brother Kadash, would one of you all want to, or Tracy, would you like to lead with a prayer? Obadiah or Tracy, Kadash? If not, that's
Shalom, I'll
fine.
go ahead and pray.
Okay,
You hear
sure.
me?
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we rejoice and thankful that you allowed us to come together today as like-minded believers with a desire to do your will. Abba, Yah, we pray that the call be led by you, that you remove us in the flesh out of the way, and that your Ruach be present. So where two or three are gathered in your name, you're in the midst. We pray, Abba, Yah, that you guide this conversation, that things that need to be spoken to are prioritized, and that you allow us to go in the path that you desire us to go in, Abiyah. Ultimately, we desire for your will to be done. Please be a hedge of protection around our thoughts and the process by which you put this thing together, Abiyah. Forgive all the callers on the line for any sins or any transgressions, Abiyah, and just allow your word to speak and allow it to be clear and concise what it is that we are to accomplish today. We pray these and all things in the name of your only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, hallelujah.
All right. Hallelujah. All right, great. Thank you, Brother Obadiah, for the prayer. And we're going to go ahead and go into some of our um, topics for today. Let me pull up my PowerPoint and see if I can go through this. Let me try this in the correct manner. I'm not so good on these things. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and try to get us on topic. Okay, Sister Ileana, I forgot. Since I have you as host, I have to become host again and then to share my screen. So I have to get back into my host position. Let's see if I can do that. Okay. All right. Let me go there and I'm gonna share my screen with this and just to go over where we are. Okay. Courtship to marriage when two becomes one. Okay, so that's kind of gotta do better on my little graphics there. I wanted to have a different picture in the background. I'm working on it. It'll help. Let's see. The first thing we get into is welcome prayer, survey reminder, survey reminder. So if you all are single that have not completed the survey, I think there are 4 surveys or 3. Let's see if that's in the next slide. That's going to be helpful. I would like those if you all can do that. Let me look at the next slide here. Okay, there is a arranged marriage survey that probably would come third. That would probably be the third one, although this is not in order. The courtship registration interest survey, that's going to be like asking you if you're interested in coming in and joining in on discussions, because there are going to be discussions of things that we go over topics, certain topics that will be pertaining to what courtship is. So you just put your information in there. That's just to keep a tally of who's all coming in and so forth. And but we're going to modify that a little bit better. The third one says courtship topic selection survey. In that one, that's just the idea of different topics that we have been going over. And some of the topics people have selected was that I can see in my background, since it's on my end, is that people have been selecting something, the topics that have to do with Bible, understanding the Bible, and I will pull that up in just a minute so we can see those responses. Arranged marriage surveys, just asking for people's views on things such as that. Let's go over to these are some of the topics that were perhaps in that survey. Let's see. Some of these were in that survey. And what is it? Courtship, how to cleanse yourself, repentance, forgiveness, intimacy with God, with Yahweh. Am I really ready for marriage? That's an important thing, you know. Wisdom and wealth, physical and mental health, breaking additions, modesty, what to wear and what not to wear, parenting 101, Bible, Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth, as we all know, and reading for understanding, speaking affirmations, fasting and prayer and fasting. So let me just stop right there for a second. Okay, what I'm going to do on one of our topics for today, I have pulled out. Let me go to the next one on my end. The topic question for today is, what do you need before courtship? Or how do you know that you're ready for marriage? So this is an open discussion for anyone to talk about. So how do you know that you're ready for courtship or ready to enter courtship? What are some things that will let you know? First of all, wait a minute, I forgot to do this poll question. I don't know how to work this poll on here, but I was hoping to put a poll in to ask when you hear the word courtship, first of all, do everybody understand what courtship is? Tammy, Ileana, Leah, do you all understand what that means?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and Leah, you do too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Tell me what's your definition of courtship, Tammy?
I think courtship is basically, you meeting a person and you establish a foundation of friendship and understanding, and you want to make sure that you share similar interests. I always say that, you need to find someone who's equally yoked. And you commit to a courtship where you you and that person end up starting dating, and taking each other serious. So it's a period of time where you end up in the beginning, the preliminary phase, where you're actually getting to know, each other, knowing about, your family, knowing your about you as a person, your characteristics. Um, you as a woman, observing how he handles, certain things that comes up, whether it's personal or professional. Also looking at, how he takes care of himself. He's looking
Right.
at how you take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How he spends, the behavior type, because sometimes, when you end up meeting a person, you meet a person where you only meet their representative. And I
Yes,
always try to
yes.
give, my rule is basically, it if you give that person 21 days, you'll see what his characteristics are. You'll know if he's an alcoholic or
Mm-hmm.
what his situation is. Like, he just, want to put you in a routine with other different women. So I think, the idea of courtship is basically, you're interested in that particular person. It's a period of time where you're just trying to vet that person through and seeing if you and that person have commonalities, common
All right.
interests. So it's not about chemistry. It's about, who is this representative? Who is this man's or woman identity, true identity? So
All
that's
right.
courtship to me. So
All right.
somebody may have another different
Okay.
definition, but that's mine.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Tammy. That was great. Anybody want to touch up on that or add to that? Any other differences on what you said, what she said? Leah, what about you?
So I agree with a lot of what she said. However, I don't think as soon as 21 days you can really tell nature of somebody's character, especially not if they're trying to hide anything. I think that's more of a 30 or 60-day window. But courtship is, I guess, the big step of having interest in somebody, having somebody else have interest in you, or dating your dislikes, and find out background. To me, being healed relationship is also okay. Or anything like that.
Okay, so I know your phone is going in and out a little bit on the end, but yes, I guess what you're saying is that it's more than the 21 days. I know some people put that, time on it, but how is courtship defined biblically? What is the biblical references to that? Everything we do and talk about, what is the significance of that as it relates to the Bible? Is anyone that can relate this to any people in the Bible or reference to someone that modeled courtship biblically, that went through courtship, or can anyone relate that? This is open to anybody. What scripture or what reference do we have? I mean, I'm sure there's something that is a model. Like, I know that when you look in the Bible, it talks about um, that going through Abraham and his wife, and how he had his son Isaac, and how Isaac, he had to find a wife for Isaac, and he had to send his servant over um, to this family. And when he found this woman there that was, at the well, and the servant asked, for a drink of water. And she was like, okay, I can give you a drink of water, but let me also give water to your animals, whatever animals he had, the camels or the um, she gave water to the animals. So there was just extra, and which is great. So the whole point is that Rebecca was chosen by the servant, out of her kindness, her compassion, her willingness to do more, and just not thinking of just a person, but she's thinking of the whole thing of what this servant came with. She was thinking of it was not just him, but he brought the animals with him. So let me go out of my way to do something for the animals too, the being hospitable. So he went over to serve Rebecca's parents and asked if Rebecca would be willing to leave her house to go marry a man way over across town to be the wife of Isaac. And Sarah was willing to do that, to leave her home. And her parents, she said, sure. So that was like, she went there and she was able to become the wife of Isaac. And when they met, when Isaac saw her from a distance and they came together, they came and they came together as one. There's that verse or something. Tracy, if you have that verse, or Ileana, you remember the verse where when they said that when the father when the man leaves his parents' house and he finds his wife, they become one. I think that was in Genesis or something. If anybody have that up.
Yeah, the man should cleave to his wife.
Okay, and that was in Genesis. Let me find that. I had it up here. I think it was something Genesis 2, or let me find this here. Okay, I want to say Genesis 2:18, but my computer is kind of freezing on me, but it could be Genesis 2:24. Let me find that just a second here. And but yeah, it was some like when he would cleave to his wife. So it's in Genesis, and I want to say Genesis 2:24-25. Let me check on that just to make sure. Hold on one second.
It is Genesis 2, chapter 24.
Okay.
2, 2:24. There shall a man leave his father and his mother and should cleave unto his wife, and they should be one flesh. The
Okay,
word
yeah.
cleave means to cling or glue. To leave and cleave is to sever and bond, to loosen and secure.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's what it is. So when that happened, that was when um Rebecca and Isaac came together, and he cleaved unto his wife and they became one. They were untouched. She was pure, he was pure, perfect, pure people. And together the two became one. And that was the whole point of that. And then we look at another one about when Isaac had um, his son was his son Jacob. Jacob, right? Jacob. What was the story on Jacob? How to do anybody know about that? Tracy, you want to elaborate on that, or Ileana? You all want to tell about that? Well, I know that Jacob, he was at out and he met working in the field, and Obadiah, would you mind elaborating on Jacob for a second? I had someone trying to get into this call and I need to take this call to get them in. Or Obadiah or Kadash, would you mind elaborating on Jacob? I don't know if they are able to or not. Obadiah said he would be busy. Okay, let me see if I can find Jacob's information. Let's see. Jacob was married to, he was in love with Rachel. That was the whole point. He saw Rachel and he wanted to marry her. But the father of Rachel said, okay, you have to work for me 7 years in order to get Rachel, right? So what did Jacob do? He worked on the farm, did it for what? 7 years. He was untouched. She was untouched, right? No, they were perfect, pure people. And then after the 7 years, Jacob come knocking on the door, Mr. Whatever his name is. He was like, I'm here now to make Rachel my wife. I worked on your farm for 7 years, so I'm ready to get married. It was great, right? He was ready. But what happened? The father-in-law said, well, Rachel is my youngest, and I have my older daughter, Leah. So you must marry her. So here's Leah for you. And but he was like, I want Rachel. That's who I want. That's who I'm in love with. I want her. But the father-in-law said, hey, you're just gonna have to work 7 more years for Rachel then. But he was
But
like, I already worked.
he wanted Rachel because she was beautiful. She was Halle Berry, how it was described
Yeah.
in the Bible. She was beautiful.
Mm,
The guys loved her or
yeah.
whatever, but he couldn't have her. And had some different. Leah didn't look like Rachel or whatever, but Leah, she just looked the opposite of Rachel. But
Yeah.
that it was an arranged relationship,
Mm-hmm.
arranged marriage between them.
Yes, yes. And it was like he decided, okay, but I know I want Rachel. That's who I want. So he decided, okay, I'm gonna work 7 more years for Rachel. I will marry Leah, but Rachel is who my heart is set on. So he worked 7 more years and he got Rachel. So that kind of arrangement was like the father arranging for his daughter to be married. He said, Leah is the oldest. This is how I have it set up in my house. I know you want my beautiful Rachel, but no, in my house, you got to marry the first one. And if you still want the second one, you're going to have to work some extra hours and put in some extra work to get my other daughter. So there was an
Hmm.
arrangement that was set, and that arrangement was set, and that's what Jacob did, and he married both Leah and Rachel. Now, come to find out, Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and it's like Israel. That's how it came about that we had the 12 tribes of Israel from Jacob. So that arrangement, that courtship, is that we recognize that Jacob had a goal. He saw what he wanted. He left Isaac's house. He left his parents' house. He saw his wife that he wanted. He wanted to cleave to her. Although it was uh, uh, Leah was added, it's not what he wanted. If there was a situation where Leah did not exist, but it would only be for Rachel that he would be after. That was it. But Leah existed, and because of the arrangement of the father, Leah was put into Jacob's life, and there was children conceived by Leah. There was children conceived by Rachel. The whole point of courtship is creating the family. You leave your parents' house, and the man finds a wife, and courtship begins. And that woman and that man now go make their own house and their own family, and that teaching that generation and so on. So let me go to another thing, courtship. Let me look at this other question here. There was another question put out about um, how, okay, how do you know that you're ready for marriage? So one of the things that we neglected to understand in this is that what Tammy and Layla were saying is that there is a time period you find out where that person is, find out if they have any other representatives. But mainly, the important thing is if a man comes to us as women, what do we do? What is our first question or a couple of questions that we need to ask? If they say, hey, uh, how are you? If they approach us, how are you doing? Are you single? And we said, no, we're not. I mean, we are. And then they said, well, I would like to get to know you. So what do we need to ask in that process? What do we need to be asking him to find out if he's worthy of our time? How do we allow ourselves to be pursued by this person? Are there questions or discernment of how do we know? And just say, okay, we'll go out, but we'll go out in that time period, right? What are we trying to figure out in that process? What do we want to know? Go ahead, Tammy.
Um, I guess, about their family, about them, if he believes in God, Jesus, like I said, common beliefs, his morals and his values.
Okay, common beliefs, morals, and values in his family. Mainly about, yes, if he believes in the Most High, if he believes in Yahweh, that is Yahweh that he believes in. But believing it is one thing if they say they believe it, but what is also needed as a
And, what is his purpose? Like, living in his purpose. Those men, even though they were imperfect, they still live in purpose. They still live in purpose and they did the will, they followed, God, you know.
Exactly. And it's following in a way that says, okay, I'm following the Most High. I'm learning and I'm growing, I'm living in my purpose and I'm
Hmm.
getting closer and I have a relationship with the Most High is something that it's like is that something we can measure? Can we look at a person's bottle and and say your bottle's half full, your bottle's half empty, your relationship with the Most High is can we do anything like that? No. We have
No,
to
my daddy used to always tell me, you never know, you're not going to ever know everything about that person. You're not going to ever know about that person. But you just um like how the Bible says, like how we're talking about Isaac and Leah, she just kind of trusted the situation, even though that she knew that he really loved his sister. So I mean, is basically, you still have to find, I mean, the thing is like it's to a man advantage. A man findeth a wife, findeth a good thing. And we have a lot of single women in this society is looking to be chosen by that person, you know, and the men have to align with God's words in order for him to be able to show and to prove who they are. And I think that everything is so mixed up in society now. I don't think that some of them, acknowledge or see the fact of what they should be doing as far as dating. So I mean, like, women, we could do whatever we need to do, but at the end of the day, it's a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So
right,
I mean, we're just waiting to be chosen. Like, like how you just said on the scripture, Isaac chose Leah.
right.
I mean, well, Isaac really
Eh,
chose
uh,
Rachel, but he ended up getting
Jacob,
Leah because
Jacob
that was
chose.
the Jacob
Yeah.
chose Leah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But everything it was prophesied, so everything has its order.
What is it?
Yes. What was that, Leah? Leah, what was you saying? Oh,
Sorry, I unmuted myself. Sorry, guys.
that's okay. And you were saying, like Tammy, that yeah, everything has an order, everything has a structure, and the way that it is designed is that the man's supposed to have his relationship with the Most High, and we are in a dysfunctional state of society right now. It's so dysfunctional. Our family structure is so divided. When we look at family was supposed to be a mother and a father, a husband and a wife and children. Now we have single fathers, single mothers, and we have singles people that are still, not married. And the structure, the breakdown that is that the adversary, the enemy has made sure that we are at a deficit in our family life because he knows that once we gain our family unit together, once we learn who we are as a people, once we learn who we that those biblical Israel from Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, that those Israelites there are us. That's our heritage. That's who we come from. Once we know that we are stronger in number, we are stronger together when we are a family unit, learning our culture, learning who the Most High is, worshiping and praising who He is. Once we do that, we become stronger, and we are something to be reckoned with as a whole, as a unit. And but the adversary, of course, made sure to break us down and scatter us all across the nations and change who we are, and that the name of Israel becomes no more, that we don't even know that we are part of Israel, that we're part of Jacob. That's our family. So that's why there's so much breakdown. Our men don't know who they are. They are it's a factor that the adversary, the enemy, created all these dysfunctions from
So,
slavery. Yeah.
so I
Mm-hmm.
guess the question is, with the breakdown, with the opposition, with the separation, it seems like to me it's up for the women to build the wall again. Where do we start to re do we rebuild, which is fine because we've always built. Do we build to teach him who he is, to speak God's words, to him? When you talk about hospitality, kindness, you know, respect, you
Mm-hmm.
know, takes patience, you know, um, those things there, to try to gain their trust first and foremost, and so that they can see their identity again. And I think
Right.
it's just so many women that are wanting the same thing as the ladies on this Zoom here, is that it's like we have to work even harder.
Right.
And are we is the Bible telling us that it's time for us to build the build? This is the time to build, our family structure again, and
And
to teach.
what do you mean by building a wall, building a family
Well, I'm
structure? Like
talking
how do
about like building I forgot what I was doing Bible study, and basically I can't think of it right now, but I have notes that talks about building. I
mm-hmm.
think the Nehemiah area, and I was talking about it to a person or whatever, and maybe I have it for the next conversation,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But I just really think that it's a time for us to build our community again.
Right. And it
People.
starts with, helping our build our men, but we can, I mean, in a way we build our community, but how do we speak life and affirmation to our men to get them to come back to the Most High? Can women do it? Can other brothers? Who has the most influence over our men? Some people
I
say,
think
well,
I think men also listens to other men.
mm-hmm,
To be honest with you, I have a son. He is 23 years old. He
mm-hmm,
hears me, but it's good coming from my father, or it's good coming from his dad or his uncle. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So I think men, they want to be affirmed, but at the same time, I think they need their brotherhood and their time to gather, like how we're gathering right now, to have these type of conversations.
right. And that's what is needed. And more men to recruit men, and women can recruit women. I know that women, we can gather as always. That's what we do. We can gather and support. And we're the helpers to the men, the help meet to the men. So we can do all that. And what we do, we enhance it. But at the same time, it is necessary that we know there's a need for men to be involved, to turn back to God, to turn back to the Most High, to turn back to Yah. But their turning back has to be influenced by more men. Now we have more men out there, but is it like the right kind of men? Who would be the right kind of men to influence the men to turn to come? You know what
Well,
I mean?
I
So,
think social media. Oh, did someone want to say something? I think social media has really played a game in separating us as a people to be
mm-hmm,
social, to be a little bit more sociable. And I think that when men had the least or women had the least, we didn't have social media, we didn't have anything. We had each other. You know,
right.
I have my aunts that been married over 67, 70 years. Well, actually
Wow.
60 years of marriage.
Mm,
And my grandparents, they've been married for a very long time. And
mm-hmm,
my grandmother ended up teaching my grandfather how to read. You know, they were born in the 20s. So they had the
mm-hmm,
least, but they were able to have big families. Like I come from a family of 12 uncles and aunts, you know. So
mm,
and our family foundation is stronger together than apart. So I
yeah.
really feel like when we had less resources, we were able to be family like, and the structure is not there. But you know, going back,
Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing what you said, and that's the whole point. You want to go ahead and finish?
yeah, just going back to what I was saying is that um, you know, it's the family unit is suffering because we need our men to not be in opposition with us. We're not their adversary. You know, on social media, you see the conversations between the men and women, and they're very negative, you know. And a lot of
Wow.
people, yeah, a lot of people soak that stuff up. And that's why I'm very careful what I listen to. And but I've been even challenging myself to be more feminine, to be more softer, to be more understanding, to have patience, all these different things, because society can make you hard. So
Yes, yes,
mhm,
that's true.
yeah,
Mm.
that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, and you're right that the way that the social media has played a role in so many obstacles in relationships. So sometimes when I go out and talk to the young people, I'm out just, talking out on the streets and stuff. There've been a lot of I had three different set of people that mentioned that social media plays a role in hindering their understanding or wanting to marry because they said, well, it's all about social media. It plays a role in that. And it's like a hindrance, it's like a stumbling block for some reason, where it shows images of people, and that's where people are going for. They're trying to go for that glitter, that glam, and that fame, and that fast lifestyle. That's what they want. And so that hinders the courtship marriage because they're trying to climb up or be like everybody else, and everybody else doing it. So I guess I got to do it just to be in the in crowd. So we lose that functionality when men are, focusing on that more. And social media has, as you say, women, we're sociable anyway. Even before social media got so big, we was always hanging out doing stuff. And then it kind of made it worse now when, it's like how how do men get to that stage of, getting out of that social media and getting into the word, getting deeper into the word, getting to the word in general. So if they weren't close in the word before, social media blocks that and makes them fall further away from being closer to the word.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what I'm
so
gonna do I think what I'm gonna do is start inviting them to Bible study in church
yeah,
before
yeah.
before before the courtship happens. Like, hey, can you want to come with me to church? Or, and just be an invitation, because I don't want to force somebody, I want them to you know, I think that's what it is. It's just, I think that's the only thing that we can do,
Right.
Leora, is to kind of still be gentle at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of pull them in that way. But it's a
Yes.
lot of work. It's a
Right.
lot of work. I haven't mastered it yet. I have a son who's 23. I'm glad that he understands the value of family. So,
Yes, and that's true, and that's what it is. It's just trying to find the ways that we can pull this through. And sometimes social media, yeah, it's like, why would you want to be stuck on social media as much when we can, if we invite some people out, like locally, like in local towns, and say, hey, we having a dinner, a social meetup, still, if they can't commit to even just an online meet and greet, will they even be willing to go to something that's a dinner meetup? I mean, possibly, yeah, but we don't know yet. And I guess that's gonna have to be a trial and see how it goes, because still you want to get people to the Bible study, like you say. Yeah, even the courtship thing like this, it's gonna still be biblical. We still, if we meet somewhere in a restaurant, we still gonna talk about the Bible. We're gonna pull up scriptures, even when we having dinner. If we go to a church kitchen and somebody we potluck, it's still gonna be about church and still gonna be about the Bible. Actually, we're gonna be bringing up scriptures. So wherever we goes in person, will the men come? I mean, that's the point, because we need to get them there. As we know, just based on the Zoom calls we had, like last 2 weeks ago, I think there were um, another gentleman, two or three single men. And so it's just in some calls, it's fewer and fewer. And as many as I talk to, I'm thinking they'll be on here as far as them committing to the surveys, but the time zones on some of them, which are out of state, of course, like you yourself, Tammy, you out of state. Leah, you out of state. Kadash is out of state, and the only people that are in my town of Louisville, Kentucky, is Tracy and Obadiah. That's on this call. So 3 people are out of state, and 3 people in town. But the rest of the people that I sent these surveys to, some of them are out of state. But that's fine. But the main point is, how do we get to the men to even commit to, hey, let's rebuild our families? Because that was one reason I felt like if we want to help our children, we got to help the families. We have to rebuild these families where there are single parents. These single parents going to have to, come back to the Most High. And then when they come back to the Most High, they focus on the Most High. Then they meet someone. Both of them are focusing on the Most High, but both of them are focusing on getting to know the Most High together. And that helps them as rebuilding families when they put the Most High, Yahweh, in the center. When He's in the center, families can build. That's what I believe. So, so the other thing is like, yes, courtship is what it is, but you can't start the courtship until you have a relationship or intimate relationship of knowing who the Most High is and that He's in you, dwelling in you. And most of these people who we may talk to or invite, they may not have their connection with the Most High, but they do want to find a wife. But what is your connection to the Most High first? So there's going to have to be that line. And I know the team is supposed to help. um, we have strategies, trying to develop strategies on the approach, the topics, how to bring people in. And do we bring people in to a local setting where there'll be a meet and greet locally, or what would be a a a process on how to get men to come? What do you think, Tammy and Layla, or Leah? What do you think?
I don't know. I think that is That's a rough question because I don't know how it is in you guys' churches, but in mine, a lot of it is just the older men that are left. A lot of the men have left the church. Um, a meet and greet is fine to gather somewhere over food. Food normally brings out everybody, so
Mhm.
that is a good idea. However, if it's a meet and greet with the idea, hey, we're going to talk about the Lord, we're going to talk about these few issues. If it's just going to be one guy there, he probably won't come. If there's like a group, 5 or 6, I don't think that there would be that big of an issue with their coming. However, if their numbers were a little bit slimmer than that, I don't think they would want to be in that group setting, possibly for fear of if they're seen out, oh, you were with a group of women. What are you doing? Putting your Mac on or whatever it is. Just, I guess, I
Yeah,
don't know, sort of like an attack on their manhood.
yeah,
But
that's true.
Leah, you brought up a really good point a few minutes ago. I really think like a meet and greet is good with the caviar. Let it not just be singles, but let it be just men, men and women, period, whether they're married or single. Because
Hmm.
maybe the men, the married men, they can actually, teach the other men how to settle down because they feel comfortable talking to each other. And I think that's when we start separating things, then you kind of lose the substance of it. But if you kind of mix it where you have married men that are strong, like how you said that was in the church, and if we just have strong men, period, that standing up for marriage, knows about family, knows about the African diaspora, learning about the history, understanding that you know we if we come as one as a community, we become a powerful force, you know,
Yes,
and
yes,
then we will be able to overcome a lot of the things that is going on in
yes.
society today. And being able to kind of block out, the distractions of things that is going on and
Hmm.
focus on the principles of why we were created. We were created to be able to give birth to life and to have family and have community. Now as a community, we have become so selfish that we don't
Ah,
stuff is blind, so,
hmm.
and I think like if we come together, like how you just stated, whatever your marital status, I just think that that's a starter for all of us because I like learning from married women. I've been doing it for years, you know, because I always say I'm a wife. What I told my friends, I'm a wife in training. That's what I tell them. I'm a wife waiting or whatever.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and because I've learned it from my aunts and my mother, where I know how to be, I'm a mom, but I know how to be a wife, you know?
Yes.
And I think
Mm.
men needs that. They need that what we can't give them. We can speak into them, but they need to see another man, like almost like a role model.
Yes, that's true. That is so true. And I like what you said about that, and especially, both of you all about the meet and greet atmosphere. And that was my whole point in the beginning is to have that set up where the married people will also be mentors over the single people, and that they can come and also speak and talk about their marriage and their life as a way of giving back to the singles. So it was just a matter of trying to figure out how to gather the people together without singling it out as a um, courtship to marriage thing, just have it as a um, something, whatever that title would be, and have everybody to come out and just get to know each other and talk and fellowship together. That would be the
I would call it, what is it? Kwanzaa, Ujama community, you
yes.
know, um, just a community to build and have that as a topic segue to talk about family structure in the Bible.
Oh, talking about that to have that set up like the Kwanzaa event.
No.
Oh,
So I'm saying the principle of Kwanzaa is, I think Yujama is collaboration. I can't remember, but it's coming is, having a name for it so that you can bring people together. I would just come up with a standard name for it to bring people together. Then you have to kind of put a label on it, where if it's, whatever the marital status is.
okay. That's the idea. We have to talk with the team on seeing how we can get that, that status or that label, that name to make it something that people would come to, and regardless of that separation. That's a good idea. And I know about Kwanzaa. I used to host those things a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so that
Ujama and Swahili is cooperative economics. So I don't know, but
yeah,
it's building and maintaining business together. So that might not be the one, but
yeah,
it's just coming up with something catchy to get people's attention to kind of draw them in. So,
yeah. Something. Thank you.
Umoja would work very
Yeah,
well at
Emoja
my
does
daughter's
mean,
school.
yeah, it
It's
does mean
unity.
yeah.
unity. Yeah, so unity is good, and that's the title of one of my Facebook groups is because I was already thinking of Emoja Soul. It's called Emoja Soul, and I made a group page called Emoja Soul Family, Unity Soul Family. So family isn't part of that. So
Hmm.
and Pastor Harris, thank you for joining, Gina Harris. So we was just talking about a lot of things to help, the men. We was talking about not having enough men to want to commit to coming to even online or being signaled out in a Zoom call, or how do we get them to come to a function that will be local, and who's going to recruit them? Of course, women, we recruit women, but we need men to recruit men to invite them out. But
Hmm.
yes,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen. That is true.
Leora, have you thought about the men that you meet and you get to fill out the forms? Have you thought about giving their information to some of the men in this group and letting them reach out and maybe invite them to a barbecue or to go bowling or whatever it is that men do, and letting them first establish that relationship with them?
Yeah, that would be good. So the people that fill out the survey, the form, and yeah, um, that would be a way to get them to commit. And if they can do those things, that would be awesome. Cause we're lacking having a lot of men, but only about two or three. But the men that filled it out, they're out of state, so there's no one local. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's the only problem. So they won't know the area, they won't know anything, but yes, it would mean a lot if we can get more men locally that will be able to go out on the streets. Of course, I go out on the streets, I talk to people, I hand out whatever I have. If I don't have flyers or nothing like that, but um, we just have to find a way, like you say, a barbecue or have a bowling or have a gathering where they can come and just fellowship and get to know people and just make a casual, laid back atmosphere where they can come and fellowship and learn about each other, learn about, hey, we all gather here for the purpose of learning about marriage. That's the bottom line. And but we need to
Well, I just
know.
think
Yeah.
that the sister made a valid point. Probably
Um,
be easy for them to bond and connect in first.
Or
yeah.
since because everybody is so, have them start meeting on Zoom by themselves because men are more likely to open up and talk with other men versus having other men and other women in conversation in a room.
Yeah. Okay. Having just a breakout room, my goal was to have a breakout where men come on the call. They go speak to the men's room, and women we go into the women's breakout room. That was the goal. Um, but we just don't have enough men right now. And this it's mainly because I would say my advertisement, my marketing has been very small too. That's another thing. But I'm the I guess I'm the only I gotta get some more people to help me to spread the word, I guess. Locally is where we want to start. And also if there are people online like you all are online, but if we have more men that are in different places, that's fine too. Um, it would just be a situation on how to get them, you know, involved when there's a local meetup. Of course, that'll be something we can do because we'll figure that out later. But mainly it's just determining how to create a local meetup and make that happen. But Zoom calls, we've been meeting for the past since the end of February, and there have been a few men here and there, but not very many that will go above 3, 4, 5. It is probably, that's it. But we just got to do more. Pastor Harris, you have any recommendations since you just joined the call? I know.
I'll try to get myself off of mute. Are you talking about on trying to get men in the group?
Yeah, to get more men in the group and to join like in the Zoom call, trying to gather more men. I guess my recruitment has been very small on my own. Obadiah, I see your hand raised too. I'm sorry, I just saw that. But I'm gonna get to you in a minute. But yes, Pastor Harris, that's what we was talking about, how to get more men in the group on Zoom. And then once we get them in Zoom, we're gonna want to have some breakouts and let them talk among men with other men and women among women. That's one thing that we wanted to do. The second
But do
thing
we
is
have a
to,
do we have a subject matter that they're gonna be talking about, or
well, subject matters is topics like, different things. Like sometimes we don't want to. Like today, we just open up with a topic about what is courtship, what is, marriage. But the topic, subject matter can be something that's easygoing that will get men in. What would be a subject that would be topic that would be easygoing to get men in, but also we can still keep it foundation wise biblically. So we just have to think about those topics and whatever that subject matter would be. Because there's many subjects that we went over on how we will proceed, and I'll show you that slide in a minute. But there's many different subjects that we want to go over as a group. Like there will be people who are just beginning their faith, that are new in the faith, and there are people who are more advanced in their faith. People who are newbies in faith, they got to go through the beginning of who they are and their salvation. There's differences in people's faith belief. So we got to be careful about that. We don't want to mix someone up who are just brand new in faith and they are, you know what I'm saying? There's little discrepancies in there. But let me get Obadiah. He had his hand raised as well. Uh, Go ahead, Mr. Obadiah.
Hey, shalom, shalom, family. Just wanted to interject real quick. I see the primary topic today has been getting men into the group. And I do have to leave after I speak my piece. But you know, the primary thing you want to focus on is not quantity. It's going to have to be quality. And I know you're desiring to do some recruiting out on the streets, but I would say, like, as a man that made a transition from being a man that was outside of the belief system to a man that's in the belief system now, you know, your your percentages of finding quality men just out and about handing out flyers is not going to be as successful as it would be if you really just focus primarily in the congregations and in the churches. I know that we have a couple of younger men in our ministry, and I believe that they're open to engaging in this conversation, but there just has to be a structure set up. And as you know, Leora, when we spoke about this last Shabbat, a primary concern was having a bunch of people come into a space together where, we have to be mindful of protecting the people that have pure intentions. And if you just invite a bunch of people in a room that you know off of the street, I think that's a very bad idea. I think you really want to focus on, and I know you feel like you're having some difficulty having men come into the room, but I think, it starts with, okay, once you have a curriculum set up, and there's actually going to be consistent conversations as it relates to courting and what that looks like. I know we'll have a couple of men that I believe can make some level of a commitment in the ministry. And I think you want to focus on men that are in the churches. I heard a sister say that, there aren't a lot of young men left. But I don't think you want to go out of your way to try to create social functions for men you're just meeting on the street. And think that them being in the presence of other individuals is going to just turn their thought process as the way that they look at relationships and women. The majority of men walking around us in the street are hardwired not to really put themselves in a committed situation. And I'm just speaking from experience. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on your party, or I'm just being realistic and just giving you my understanding from a male perspective. So, to sum it all up, I think, as far as men, we need to focus on the churches and the congregations. With that being said, I yield.
Yeah, thank you, Obadiah. And that's a good point. And I know it's a lot of churches and just finding out a good strategy to get to as many as I can, because I know I've only been to two churches last week and I don't think I was very productive in the churches, but just meeting and going there, saying, hey, this is what I'm about. Here, can you pass this out? Can you share with your members? It's like I have to have a team of people doing that, not just one person. So we got to develop that structure on making sure that we have a team of people who can go out and spread the word as well. Somebody else had their hand up. Okay. Okay, Obadiah. Okay, you got to go off. Okay, Shalom. And let's see, Tammy or somebody, did you have anything to add on that? Um, about somebody else? Did you have something to say, Tammy?
No, I agree with what he said.
Hmm.
When you're in a congregation, you have like-minded believers, it makes it easier for you to start within the church or a synagogue,
Right.
um, because you're able to kind of circulate that information and build that curriculum that he's talking about. Because
Hmm.
the man that what he's talking about is true. The men out in the world is not wired, and that's why, that's why I was telling you, finding someone who's equally yoked is
Hmm.
important. And the starting point would be for me is in my church, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. Um,
Hmm.
we do have a singles ministry. We just had an activity. Um, we celebrate the hip hop movement in the 90s or something, but it's to
Hmm.
bring people together. We had food and people met, each other, and they had people who were married, some people who were single, but it was a nice event to kind of be an icebreaker to meet people. So I think those things, like, starting within the church is very important as a starting point, because it's hard to get people off the street that is not ready to be
Hmm.
committed to, God. So
You're right. And that's true. And Obadiah, you wanted to make a comment as well.
Hey sis, shalom, shalom family. Yeah, I definitely I think for my question, I think, and we kind of maybe talked about that before. I do agree. I think audience is everything, you know. I think that your audience, I think having a plan or a program or a layout or a curriculum of how you're moving forward is really going to be important, especially if there's varying beliefs and things like that. I think if you just pull them and kind of put them in, and then it's not really clear across the board on who's covering what's going to be the main topics that's being covered that night, and things of that nature, so that it's a consensus all throughout, is uniform, that really does make a difference. And I do think that audience, I think that there is reach and there is room for those that are not believers as of yet. I do believe that. I believe that there is room for those that are, in the world, so to speak, that are not believers as of yet. But I don't believe that you wouldn't approach it the same way that you're approaching a group of believers, you know? So if it is that and I think that maybe that's the question kind of to focus on where do you really feel led? Where do you feel led in your spirit on what, who are you really, what's in your spirit to target? Who are you feeling led to target? Because that really will simplify it and kind of break it down on, Paul said, you can't give those that are on milk meat to chew. It's just too much, it's not going to be digested well, so if it is that it's in your spirit that it's like, I'm walking out here, I'm seeing what's going on and I want to have an impact or see, I want to kind of work with those that are maybe not believers as of yet. And I want to find a way or set a curriculum or something that we can bring them, to, obviously convert them into believers, which I think is, it's a great thing. It's done, and so I just think that if it's not that, or if it is that, because like we talked about with all the stats, and those that are believers are struggling with fornication, and those that are believers are struggling with marriage, and those that are believers are struggling with the watching and things of that nature. So if that's the focus, and we're talking about, we're actually going to target believers that are struggling in these areas where we already know we have a biblical base that they can understand and they can chew and they can at least reason with, for us to bring them back in and pull them away from the views of the world, then that's another approach. So if we're talking about completely non-believer, it's not that it's not doable, but it wouldn't be the same approach as a believer. And I think maybe that's where the prayer or has to really be put to, to really see what it is that how the Father's moving you on, what you really want to target, because then that's going to help. That's going to help on laying out the curriculum. That's going to help on laying out some guidelines on how we're approaching here, and how we're actually moving forward. Because there's room in both areas, but you do have to know where you're going. Because that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, great, wonderful. Yes. So that's all good. That's all true. That's exactly right. And I appreciate, discussing this, because now it's more focus is to making sure that we can get more people that are in the churches and the congregations, the Bible studies, the ministry groups, to bring them in and just get them to associate together and just focus on the believers. And then also at the same time, the young people who might be still new in their faith walk and new, of course, we still want to reach out to them, because even then we're training them to be prepared for the future. We're giving them knowledge, and because they're new into it, they don't understand as much. So we want to make sure they're getting growth and nourishment and milk and all that stuff as well. But mainly, yes, most of our audience are going to be the believers. That's where we want to focus. And developing the curriculum is a foremost thing. So, and I think that's where our next goal is: developing the curriculum, developing the topics. And speaking of the topics, Pastor Harris, since you had came on, I had some topics that we looked at, and it's similar. Let me see if I can share this with you in just a minute. I'm gonna share my screen. Um, to show you these topics that we had up here. Okay, so this is some of the topics that we went over. Let me see if that can be. Okay, so it's like courtship, what is it? How to cleanse yourself, repentance and forgiveness, um, intimacy with God, with Yahweh, just understanding who Yahweh is, developing a relationship, a closer relationship. Um, let's see. And am I really ready for marriage? Wisdom and wealth. And speaking of wisdom and wealth, locally, one of our brothers in the assembly, he's doing a wisdom and wealth conference on June 28th, 29th, 30th, or the last weekend of June in Louisville. And a lot of people are coming to gain a whole lot of knowledge from real estate to gardening to health and wellness to just a whole lot of things. So that's coming up. Physical and mental health, of course, that's important in dating or courtship, understanding our physical and our mental. Breaking addictions, a lot of people come with the addictions, but we want to make sure, and even as believers, we sometimes struggle with things and we take it to the most high, but we just gotta, have the support and that, knowing who to take it to and making sure we have prayer and fasting and all this to break those addictions, break those curses. Modesty is just a little minor topic, but for some people, they need to know that because sometimes they wear just anything and they haven't been taught that, But even sometimes they wear it to church as believers, but we have to say, some things are not appropriate. Parenting 101, Bible, reading for understanding, speaking affirmations, prayer, and fasting. These are just some of the smaller topics, but the topics can expand and grow deeper on that as a curriculum once we develop that, because we want to be able to make sure it's teaching people who are in the faith what they need to do, how they can build up, how they can learn to court the way that the Most High intended, how men can know how to pursue with the spirit of discernment, how to find a woman, how to pray about it, how to, fast about it. All those things are important. So that's just some of the topics, but developing the curriculum from that, we're gonna need all hands on in this. And I would love to have you all's help on some ideas on ways that we can develop that. So that's where we are now, and it helps to know that it's our direction that we need to go going forward. So great discussion so far. And I'm glad that you all provided your input. And I really admire, Tammy for coming in. I just met you last week. And of course, Obadiah, we've been talking from a month or two or three ago. I can't remember. And Pastor Harris, thank you for joining in. And I hope, Pastor Harris, that I can still, would like to get your input on how we can go forward. Do you have a singles ministry in your church or right now, Pastor Harris?
We have a couples ministry in our church.
Okay, a couples ministry, and that's something that
Mhm.
meets like, is it like a once a month or
Every other
bi-monthly?
month.
Every other month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's good too, because the couples ministry there that's made up of like singles and also married people, correct?
No, now on our couples ministry, it's made up of married folks.
Okay.
And then those that are
Okay.
considering marriage. That's why we call it couples.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. And plus,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
go ahead.
No, I was
Uh,
just saying that's beautiful,
yeah.
to
Yeah, because
have that
then they
at
can
church.
get wisdom. Yeah, it's
Yeah, we
really
just got
nice.
through talking about that, Gina. Yeah.
Really? Oh wow,
Mhm.
wonderful.
Right in
Yes.
alignment.
That's a blessing.
Yes. Yes. That's
Hmm.
good. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's why, we want to, focus on the churches of believers that's already there and to try to recruit them. And we just need to develop a team that can go out and help, tap on churches. Even if some churches, like one of the sisters said, that some of them may not have singles ministry, some may not even have that many younger people because it's more older people in some of the churches, and some of the churches are kind of diminishing in their size and in their, they're becoming, they're like losing their membership in some ways. And it's not many people, but we still can go there. We still must outreach there and spread the word of what we're trying to do to get them to join us in this understanding the biblical meanings of courtship together. So would you all be willing to, Tammy and Obadiah and Pastor Harris, would you all be willing to assist with your insight on the curriculum?
Yeah, I'll be able to give feedback. I just wanted to say, I appreciate the conversation, with everybody, and, it just, you got to get back down to you got to get back to the basics on
Mm-hmm.
understanding your identity in Christ, or your
Mm-hmm.
identity, period. And, all this conversation has been very helpful tonight. I know this is your starter, and
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the invite, and just let me know how I can help.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy, very much. I will keep you in mind for some assistance. Thank you. And
Yeah, and I feel the same way. So whatever you need, just let us know.
awesome. Thank you, Pastor Harris. Definitely. Cause mainly we're just in the beginning, just talking about it, and we want to make sure we put everything in perspective, making sure that the curriculum is set up and that we can draw people in the right manner. So that's important for us to do that. So I will continue to talk over with the team and Obadiah, I know that you're the great person that can help out with, you know, with the younger people. I still want to grab the younger people, like the teenagers and so forth to get insight on how to bring them into the ministry. So I will still need your help with that. So you'll be willing to help me out with that if you don't mind.
Yep, say hallelujah.
Yeah, okay, great, great. Awesome. So I'm not going to keep everybody. I really appreciate this and thank you all so much for joining in. And we'll probably meet again in about maybe a next week to just do the leadership where we're going to have some people coming in with ideas on topics and how to develop a curriculum on what to do because the curriculum setup is our next goal. So
Okay.
yeah, and I keep you in mind for that.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much, sis.
All right. Y'all be
Okay.
blessed.
All right. Thank you. You have a good evening.
You too.
Likewise.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.